Let's draw a pie chart for the pets which your pupils have in your class. So in here we'll write the name of some pets. Cat, we'll have a mouse, a hamster, a rabbit, a fish, and we'll stop with a snake. So hands up, who's got so many dogs in the class? Let's go for 8. Number of cats are 5. There'll be 2 mouse, 3 hamster, 3 rabbit, 2 fish, and 1 snake. Now you can see that as we enter that data, this chart grows. We can adjust the table and we can adjust the chart by going up to here. These are the options for the table. So click on that, just the 3, add rows, delete rows, and we could delete the empty rows, which would suit us just now. So that's that done. The chart itself can be given a separate name. We might want to call it class pets. You might wish to show the percentage and not the number. And if we said OK to that, okay, it may be that you wish to not give them the category, but to deduce from the sizes of the segments the possible pets from this column in the table. And if I look at this column, the heading category doesn't seem very helpful. Let's change it. Double click on the top and we open up this window, and instead of category we'll change that to pets. Units are not appropriate in this case, so we'll say OK. And that's us very quickly and in a straightforward way got our pie chart. If I click on that icon at the end there, it presents the data as a bar chart. Bar chart entry in the program is identical to this, and it just produces bars straight off. And if you wanted to switch back to a pie chart, then that would be an option to you. Right, let's now go and draw a graph. To do that, we'll come up to New. And we'll click on Line Graph. Let's imagine that we have an object moving away from us and we record every second how far away it is. This column will make the time and this column will make the distance. So double click on the top and we'll put in there the time and the units of time, seconds. Okay, this one is the distance and the units of distance, meters. Okay, we're now ready to enter our data. At time 0, the object is 1 meter away. After 1 second, it's 6 meters away. After 2 seconds, it is 12. And you can see our graph being built up as we go along. After 3 seconds, it is 16. Now, it may be that we do not wish to have the points joined like this. And if that is the case, what to do even before you start entering your data is to go to Options. And these tabs let you decide how you want to present your graph. And click on Data Styles. And this option here, Connect the Points with a Line, deselect. You can apply and say OK. The heavy line here between is just showing that this is the plot that we're working on. You may have several plots on the one sheet of graph paper, and you can work on particular plots, maybe fit lines or curves to your data set. So you choose the plot that you want to select to work with. If I click on the graph paper, if I click again, it selects that plot to work with. Let's carry on with our data, entering the data. After 4 seconds, it's gone 20. After 5, distance is 27 meters. 6, it's 31. Above another point. 7, it's 37. Right, so this is our line here. We'll make a best fit line. It's certainly looking like it. So if we go to options, we could go to curve fit, the end one here, click on it, and I have a number of options, best fit line, and we could say OK, and I have a best fit line. The equation of the line is presented in the form y is equal to c plus mx. The smaller the number, the fit, the more accurate the equation will be. If you decide that this point here, which was the first, second, third, fourth, the fifth point is perhaps not a good point, we don't want to rub it out and pretend we didn't get that data, but what we can do is go to a time of 4 seconds, and if we double click on the use, it becomes ignore. It takes it out of the graph, it changes the fit, and it would leave the student with an explanation of why they are choosing to ignore that point. You may want to take it again, make your measurements again, whatever, but it's to do away with the idea of pretending we didn't get data by rubbing it out. We can click on the ignore. If you want to bring it back in again, you can double click on that and it's back in. If you drag over a few and press enter, it takes all these points out. Press again the enter button and we've got the points back in. Other things we can do with our graph is that we can click on the options, the axis ranges. Perhaps I'm going to present this in a report, and I don't like the idea a maximum of 7.35. I would prefer 10. So I will take the auto scale off, make my maximum 10, and say apply. And I now have my maximum out at 10. I can show the origin. Well, our origin is shown for us here, but some data it may be such that the origin is not shown at all, and if you click the origin, show origin, then it will be available. I can swap the axis, apply. That can be quite useful. For us at the moment, we'll just return it to the way it was. So we'll say swap the axis and apply. The graph title, we can give it a title. So we could say distance and time experiment. The data styles, we visited this tab earlier. You may wish this time to have a colour, and we've not connected the symbols. If you have several plots on the one sheet of graph paper, we can choose what kind of symbols we would like to use, and we can also choose the sizes of the symbols. We'll see we can enter error bars. That's for certainly further up in the school. You can use error bars on one or both axes, and you can have absolute or percent. And the curve fits that we visited earlier, we have a selection. We've got the common ones in our school will be best fit line and the polynomial, and you can choose your degree of the polynomial. So we'll say OK to that. Now let's imagine that we have repeated this experiment and we have another data set to enter. So let's go to our table options, and we could add a column, just the one column of data. So we'll say OK. So let's imagine this time round we've got 0, 4, 8, 12, 14, 19, 22 and 28. You can see our plots here, and again we've got the option of fitting a straight line to our data set, so we'll perhaps remove the joining of the points as the first thing to do. So I'm going to click on the graph paper to select that plot. You can see the sort of thicker line round the blue line. I will go up to my graph options. I will go again to the data styles and not connect them and say OK. That's better, and we will have a curve fit and we'll have our best fit line, and we'll say OK. Okay, so the equation is given up here. I notice that we've got y2 value. That's not terribly helpful, and I suppose we should change that to maybe distance 2. How would that do? And we say OK. So you can see that it's very straightforward to plot your points. The nice thing for younger children is that as they plot each point, they can see it going on the graph paper. Again, we have auto scaling always, and you don't have to answer questions about the size max and min on each axis. The graph will automatically fit your graph paper. So after this, we'll go and have a look at the histogram. To do that, we'll click on New. Then we'll click on Histogram. Let's draw a histogram of the heights of the pupils in a class. So we'll double click on the top here and call this height, and the units centimetres. Okay, so we'll enter our values in here. So first we'll have 150 centimetres, 152 centimetres, 131, and 151, 165, 142 centimetres, 47, and you can see that our histogram is being built up at the side here. 153, 158, 144, 161. Now our table is full, so what we will need to do to put all our heights in is to increase this a little. So let's go to options for the table and add, let's say 6 rows. Okay, so let's continue with our data. 158 centimetres, 135, 155, 170, 129 centimetres and 158 centimetres. And we have a histogram here built up as each height is entered. Now there's a number of things we can do with our histogram. If we click on the options for the chart, then we can give it a title. So we'll make that class heights. We could show the percentages, the value will leave. We can change patterns if we wish, but that one's fine. Colours we can change. The bin size is interesting. That the bin size is this 120 to 129. So that range there is called the bin size. So I could, instead of going up in steps like 120 to 129, I could make this 5 and say OK. And you can see that my chart takes a slightly different shape. What we'll do is we'll go back to the size that we had, the 10. And we have options of allowing only integers, which is fine for us just now. And there's my histogram. Again, you can see how simple it is to draw the histogram. Very straightforward, just as the graphs and the bar charts and pie charts were. So that's covered all the options available to us with simple data handling.